Welcome to another tutorial from Teddybrick. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking on how to add our resources to the project. So the first thing y'all should look at is under the project, under View, go to your resource sheet. Make sure that you have added the different resources. If you're a group, you should add all the resources that are in your group. Again, under work type, it's work. It's not a material and it's not a cost. So you place yourself under work. And again, you could place yourself under groups if stuff like that. But when I look in my project, I can see that in here I need to add all my resources. And a good idea is to add your resources first and then afterward look at your hours. Because if I show you here, I add one resource, it says 102 days times 7.4 hours per day. That's why it gets this many hours. So add your resources, and right now you can see the cost is 153,000 kroners, which I'd probably get fired from if I had spent that much money on planning. But again, you saw I added the resource by clicking out here like so, or you could mark several of them, go under the one that's called resource, assign resource, you get this dialog box. You click on the different names. For instance, if I had multiple people, in this case I only have one, press assign and the person is assigned. What you could also do is you could choose multiple. So if I go like this, hold down the control button, mark these and this, and say assign, they're all assigned to the project. Close. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to go in and modify my hours. The reason I want to modify my hours is because right now, if I go up under Format and say Project Summary Task, I use 7,955 hours on this project. And in Denmark, you have, I believe it's a 1924, 1,924 hours for a whole year. That is including your vacation. So this project would probably take me about 4 years. So another thing that is given is you see this little red man out here. That is a warning indicating that your person is over allocated. That means you are working too much per day. I'm going to start by just saying that in this time period, I need to divide how many hours I'm going to be spending. In your case, since it's a school project, you should take your average of lectures every week and plus additional 6 hours, and then the remaining hours. In this case, if I say I have 18 hours, that means I will have 102 divided by 5. That's how many days, or yeah, how many days in a week. That means 20.4. If I then say 20.4 times 18, I would have 360 or 76.2 hours. But I will not do it that good or plan it that detail because this is just a practice example. So right now I could just change my hours. And one thing you need to remember is your project meetings, like so. Resource, assign resource, and places 2 hours, which is okay. I'm going to minimize it again. I'm going to say, yeah. Again, it is an example, so I'm not focusing on how many hours I'm using. 15 days, let's say 27. So if I go up to the top, I'm using not enough hours, but again, it is an example, so I won't focus on it. Now I entered my task name, my duration, my work. The start is indicated again under project information. You have your start date. Then you put the constraints or dependencies, and then it gives itself. The next thing you want to do is, if you look over here, it's kind of hard to see the different weeks from each other. What you can do is you can hold down the control and use the middle mouse button, and you can scroll back or forth until you think you have a view that is good enough. Then you have this green line here. Again, this green line is a little rattle tail. It is indicating, hey, this is when you did the project. So what I would want you to do is right click and then say grid lines, and the current date is the green line. Go up under type and remove that so it's not shown. It's a bad idea to have this present if your client sees that you have planned your project way after it is actually started. Well, again, another thing I want to show you is you have these holidays and weekends, and right now it looks like I'm working 24/7. To show your spare time or the time that you're off, you right click, go down to non-working time, and your non-working time you say in front of taskbars like this, press OK, and then it shows all weekends and holidays. Another thing is you might not want to show these constraints, and the way you could remove these is you could right click again, say layout, and under your layout you have the different way the links can be shown. I'm just going to choose none like this, and sometimes out here it says resource names, and the way you change the resource names to resource initials is by going under your bar styles. Under bar styles you go to text, and under text you have what is called resource names. Just change it to resource initials. Another thing I like to have is to see the Gantt rows in the bottom tier columns or the column rows. And the way I do that is right click, grid lines, and then I say Gantt rows. I want them to be that type of line, and usually they stand to automatic color, but I use a gray color, a gray minus 25%, because that is not that hard looking at. If it's black, it would be very difficult, especially when you right click and say grid lines again, go up and choose bottom tier and use the same column like so. That makes it easier for me to look over here in my task and go out and see the different activities. Right now it is set to be a week. It's shown as a week on the time scale, but that is not always the right way, because if I press Control P now, you can see if I want this to be scaled on an A3, so choose A3 and say page setup, fit to one page, okay, like that. You can see it's going to be kind of tight, but you really can't see the columns, which is a bad idea. So I'm going to say back, and I'm going to say that what I want to see are months, like so. So the first one, right click up here, time scale. I want to see months, and again you could give it anything we want, like this. Months, I would prefer, yeah, we'll just keep it like that. And this is not the year, it's just the standard configuration they have in MS Project. The right year will be present when you then pick it. Then I'm going to choose my bottom tier, and I do not want that in days, I want that in weeks. In my label, I want that from 1 to 2, 52, 1, 2, the week and numbers, like so. Press OK. And then what happens is I have it in months and I have it in weeks. Again, you need to show your project meetings like so. Control P, and now you see your project. The reason that I can't see my columns out here is if I go back like so, you do not need to see your predecessors. You do not need to see your resources. Some like to see them, but it's not a demand. Control P, and then you can see it over here. What I also like to do is usually I would remove the project start date and the project end date. So right click, grid lines, say project start date, remove the type like so, project finish date, remove the type like so, Control S to save it once, Control P to see it again, and see now you have a nice and clean view. Down here in my legends, I do not have as many as you have. And the reason that I don't have that is because I looked, which ones do I have? I have my project summary, then I have a summary, I have a milestone, and I have a task. The way that you remove these is by going back, right clicking in here, choosing bar styles, and for every single one of these tasks that you don't have, I would place myself or click on it. I'd press F2 or click F2, press home to come in front, press the multiply, and then enter. That was the task I just removed. So if I go back now and press Control P, you can see the task has been removed. Right click, bar styles, mark it, F2, home, delete, enter, and it reappears. The reason that you just don't cut the row out is that a lot of these schedules or time plans, they have a tendency to expand or be used further on in the process, and then you would have to create all these different types again. And I do not believe any of you would be able to remember it. So use the star function. That is the best way. Okay, Control S. That is what I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you can use it, and thanks for watching.